There we go. Had to restart the stream. Something went wrong. Something went wrong. I'm not sure what. We'll give it a minute or two here. Come on, people. Come on, people. Why do I feel like something is wrong here? Don't know. Does it feel like it's not broadcasting that I'm streaming? Don't know. I don't know what's going on. There we go. Fixed that. Perfect. Perfect. Now we're up and running. Now we're up and running. It wasn't working before, so now we're good. Now people are here. Now we're getting somewhere. You too, Rex. You have a great day. Too bad you're not sticking around. That's alright. That's alright. Crash Bandicoot in a couple hours, so it's going to be a great day. But I just wanted to do a quick lesson on CSS, so I'm just going to get going here. I was hoping some of the people from the last time were going to show up. So that way they could continue where we left off and continue learning, but it doesn't look like they're here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and talk about what we've been doing because they will be able to watch this later. So basically we started with an HTML document here. We created some basic, we created a title that right here, we created a title using the H1 tag, which we wrapped with an anchor tag, which if you click it, it returns you to the home page. Sorry. Right below, we created this very basic and simple nav bar with just some text divider lines, and each one goes to its own page, but we haven't made an about page or a contact page, and the home page obviously returns us to where we're at now. We inserted a photo that will scale based on the window size. We still have to make the text scale as well, but I'm not going to worry about that now. because that when you start worrying about screen sizes and devices, then you get into having to do classes for each device, and it gets tricky. I probably should have started, it's easier to start small, so maybe that's what we should do here, is start small and then go big, because it's a lot easier to start on a mobile size screen than a large one. So maybe we'll do that. We'll start with a small screen here, and then edit this to fix to fix the text and stuff. We also have a link at the bottom for a footer, and right here isn't clickable, but right here is. This is a link to my channel here, and then people can come here and click the subscribe button, hint hint, and then it shows that we're live here, and it shows my recent streams. Last night was really fun, and then right here is the first part. So yeah, we got that link in, and so what I want to talk about today, before we go into setting up the classes to make this work and to fit this screen size, I'd like to go over a little bit more what we did and refresh your brain on the some of the tags we used in some of the classes and IDs. So up here we declared doctype HTML, which basically tells the computer, hey, this is a web document. That's hypertext markup language, which is what HTML stands for. We have a head class, which always goes at the top. It contains things like the title tag, it contains links, it also contains meta tags, and it contains meta tags, and it contains script tags, and we'll go over these later in the future if this stream continues to show interest. But then we created a body tag, which pretty much everything in your website will go within the body tag, and right here is our title, and then we had to create a table to create the nav bar system, and it's probably the easiest way to do it, because you can spread out buttons using their own IDs and styles for each row, and you can make them equal, and as you can see we have them over here. You know, they stay center. We got 3 columns, or we actually have 5 columns here, because we count the 2 dividers, and because if we go back here, right here we can see that we have TD, 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 and TD, and then we have 1 row, and that's table row, and then we have table class, and then at the bottom we have these an image tag to add the background image, which is right here, and we assigned a class in CSS to make this so it fits and scales with the page, and then we added an alt tag, which is really good for SEO, and it's a good habit to get into, filling those out. And then we have a footer tag with an H4, and this is also wrapped with an anchor link with the href of my YouTube channel, and that's clickable, and then the YouTube tutorial page name is not clickable. And remember, H4s, the way they work, the smaller the number, the bigger they'll be. So right here on the website, right here, the YouTube tutorial is an H1, and this down here is an H4. Now we're going to jump into the styles. I'm going to save that, even though I didn't change anything. Hello, Mr. Gimmick. Hello. Hello, hello. So we're going to jump into the CSS. I'm going to talk about what's going on here, because I didn't get to in the last video, and I said I would, and that's basically what this video is going to be about. It's going to be a quick video explaining CSS, explaining how things work, and everything like that. So if we go back to the HTML document and we scroll up to the top, we have a link. Now this is linking to our folder that we made. I just have web tutorial on my desktop, and we have this here. We have images with our background image. We have the HTML document, which is what we're programming right now. And we have the a JavaScript folder. We haven't made any JavaScript yet, in styles, which is where all of our CSS will go. And this is the file we are linking to in our HTML document, which is here. So this is the file in our folder, and on our main HTML we are linking to that, and we are saying it's a style sheet. We are saying that the type is text and it's CSS, and then the href is where it's located. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see here. One second. Okay. All right, so we go into our styles, and right here I made a comment. You make a comment by doing a /*, and you got to make sure you close it with a //. If you don't, then you will do this. Your styles will go away. Everything you made will be commented out. The reason this part isn't is because right here we have it ending, which is really the start to the next comment. So we're just going to put that back, and our styles are now back. And we have the body tag. So the way CSS works is you declare what you want to edit. You open brackets, which is a general thing in programming. It's a good thing to know. It's how brackets work. This is going to contain everything you want to edit for whatever you declared here. So we declared body, we opened up brackets, and we said background dash color colon black semicolon. So the way this works is you're saying what you want to do, you're ending what you want to do with a colon, you're saying what the value of that is, and then you are ending that line with a semicolon. And this allows you to do many things. You could do width 10%, and as you can see in our page over here, everything in our page just got shrunk down to 10%. And I got to close that with a semicolon. You can see that it's going to edit it on the page without closing that with a semicolon, but it's also a really good idea to remember to do that, because when you come down to validation, and if I add something here, then it's going to take it all as one, and it's going to be a mess, and you just want to keep in the habit of making sure you do that. Because when you run it through an HTML validator, which I highly recommend when you're done, it's going to flag that as an issue. And you don't want issues. The last thing you want to deal with is issues. So let's jump over to here, and we're going to, we're going to remove the width, and we're back to normal. So that's an idea of how that works. Right here is the H1, and you'll see over here it highlights it for you. So right here is our H1, which is the title to the website. It's also a link to itself, so it'll always go back to the home page. We declared the color to be white because this is text, and that'll make the color of the text white. Text align is center, so no matter how big or how small this screen gets, it will always it'll always be in the center of the screen. Always be in the center. Yes, cheeseburger ops. This is HTML and CSS beginning programming class I'm doing live. I'm doing it live so that way people can learn. And I'm going over CSS right now. So we edited the HTML. The color of it is white. The text align is center. And we added a text decoration underline, and that will add an underline to it. H4, same deal. Our H4 is here at the bottom, which part of it is linked in an anchor tag. we also made this white, centered, and underlined, and that obviously made it white, centered, and underlined. And no matter how big we make this page, it will always stay in the center. It'll always be underlined. It'll always stay the color white until we override it, which we're not going to do. Anchor tags. So any link, you can see right here, it highlights all of the anchor tags. And I made it white. Otherwise, if we didn't have it white, they would be blue. And then if you clicked on one, it would turn purple, as you can see there. Oops, there we go. It's not going to work for that because there's no page setup. But since we've visited these before, these turn purple like basic links, but we don't want that because that looks gross. And we can actually change the active color if we want to make it, let's see, a active, I believe, oops. I might be doing this wrong because it's been a long time since I've done an active link. Crap. I think I am doing this wrong. Can't. This is terrible. Great work, pal. Love from the UK. Love from the US. Alright, I'm going to go over actives later. I'm totally blanking on it. And again, I told you that would happen with me, and the best thing to do is go to W3 Schools, that website I showed you last time. I use it all the time for simple things. W3 Schools, and it's w3schools.com/html, and this right here on the left is going to have basic stuff. It's going to have everything here: iframes, blocks, images, tables, all of that stuff. You can see here, and I'm constantly going back and referencing this, so don't think I don't know what I'm talking about, because I do. And it's just, you forget the simple things, and yeah, so it might be that website is life. So a dot active, I think is what it is. Color blue. See if that works. I don't think it will. Yeah, I'm doing something wrong there, but I'll worry about that in the future when we get into the more complicated things. That website is life. I think that's a compliment. Thank you. I know there's nothing going on yet, but we'll get there. We will get there. I'm going to make this image look better too, so it kind of blends into the background, but that's more of a Photoshop thing I'm not going to worry about right now. In the future, we will also add a favicon right here. Not going to worry about that now either. So let's move down to the next section. We have another comment here. It's really good to comment out your CSS and your code. It makes it really easy to reference later. So this is background styles. And the only thing we have here is our background image, which is right here, of course. And this actually isn't really set to the background yet. This is actually just an image that I called background image. When we get into the more complicated things, I'll show you how to actually set that to the body background, and you can set stuff on top of it. Now, we could set stuff on top of it using z-index and changing the layering, but that is not the best way of doing things. You can set it literally to the background of the page, and it'll be stuck there, and anything will be on top of it, and that is probably the best way. But we'll go through that later on in life. So what we did with the background image is, let me just give you an example. If I make that so it's not referencing the HTML, this is what we had. We had a giant image. It was centered left, aligned left. It was huge. It wasn't aligned how we needed it to be. Photo looks nice, but it just does not work for what we need. We need it to be a lot smaller. Now, if this was set to the actual background, that might be okay if it was centered, and we'll worry about that in the future. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go through what I did. So if I remove all this, I set the margin to auto, so it automatically knows where to stay when the page changes. However, it doesn't scale. So we made it display as a block. so that way we could edit this. And now since the margin's auto, display block will stay center. See how that works? And I actually didn't need text align. Text align comes in handy when you don't use block, but using block for images is better. I actually forgot to remove that the last time, so that's my bad. We added max width to 100%. Now I set height to auto, but you really don't need to worry about it at all. You could leave it just like that, but it's not a bad idea to just get in the habit of setting height to auto, because in the future you'll have some elements that do have height changes, and it's just not a bad idea to use it. It doesn't hurt anything, it's not in the way, and it's just one more way of ensuring that the height doesn't change for some reason. The next section we have is the nav bar, and of course that is right here, the very simple basic nav bar that we have. Let me make this so it doesn't look stupid, because we're gonna go through and edit that later. There we go, let's keep it at that size. I'll move this over, and then we can see, you know, what's going on a little better. So we already talked about how these are all linked to their own pages. This is linking to a file called contact.html, which we haven't actually made yet. And same with the About Us, it's linking to a page called About, and we haven't made that yet either. So we are going to make those later. The best way to make a second page, in my opinion, is to complete your home page, copy and paste it, and that way when you click About Us, you've got the exact same page, and you can just edit that. And that way you don't have to keep doing it from scratch every single time, and it saves you a ton of time. And it ensures that everything stays looking the same and consistent and everything like that. So let's go through the nav bar. So we set, again, we did use a table for this. So the nav bar, if we jump in here, if we go down to table, we set the table itself to the class of nav bar. And we come over here, there's a period. That means it's referencing a class. What are you editing with? I am using Brackets. It is a free software. You can download brackets.io. I will go to the website right now to show you, because I did this in the last video. And this is completely free. And it's the best that I've used. I used to use one called Taco HTML, but this is much better in my opinion. There's things I really liked about Taco, but this kind of seems to be, this was bought out by Adobe and you know, stuff like that. So it was, or not bought out, but you know, it's by Adobe. You know, Adobe always supports their stuff, and it's open source and works with JavaScript, which is great. So yeah, you can download this for free. You can contribute to it if you're a really hardcore programmer. You can look at the API docs. They've got a blog, all of that. So you can go there and you can download this editor for free. So back to here, this period in CSS means, hey, we're referencing a class, and the name of that class is navbar. And since we said class equals navbar here in table, everything in these brackets will reference that. So we set the table to align center. Now again, we could have done a display block, and that would have kept it the same thing. Oh wait, sorry, hold on. For a table it might not. See, these are little things that you sometimes forget. Okay, for tables you have to have text align. For some reason I thought you could do block, but I guess that's just for images, so that's my bad. I set the margin to auto, so that way the entire thing knows where it's staying. And again, that's probably something that you want, because otherwise you're going to be stuck with that. So you gotta have, we set this to auto and it stays there and it knows where it needs to be. Now the reason you need text align center is because if you use block, it would still be centered. However, the text wouldn't be, because this inside part would be in the left, but the table itself would be centered, if that makes sense at all. Anyway, so we set the text align center, we set the margin to auto, and then we targeted the row. We've got one row here, and that contains all these links and the dividers, and we set that to the same text align center, margin, auto, and that's mainly just for a consistency. If we remove this and we come in here, you can see they stay the same, but I'm a consistent guy. I like to keep everything, you know, organized and neat, and that way if I ever have to come back later, I can just edit this row, and I know that these things are taken care of, and you know, all of that. So we will move on down here, and this is the reason. So let me explain how this works. So right here we have the table, the class is navbar, and then within this table we have tr, and we have one of these, and inside that is all of our stuff. So that's why we say, hey, we're targeting navbar class, and we're targeting any tr that is within that class. So any of the table rows inside navbar, which is our table, will get these styles. Same thing right here, navbar, tr, and td. So any tds inside tr inside navbar is what we're going to edit. And so these are the columns, these are the rows, this is the table. And we set the text to white for the, you can see right here those dividers went away. Since we already set anchors to white, if I go up here, see, now if we come back down here and I set, where was it? Crap. Where was it? Where did it go? Oh yes, yes, okay. So if I take this off, what we could have done is we could add, we could do it this way. So you can have some links separate. So we could have done this, TD, and then A, and then, oops, color white, and that would have changed just those links white. And then down here we would have the standard blue and purple link. However, we don't want to do that. We're just going to actually back up here because we want those A's to stay, and we're going to come back down here and I will finish explaining this. So we have the navbar row with the TD there. Color is white, text line is center, and then we added padding. Padding left is going to add space in between these elements. So each one, you can see how this blue box, if I delete these, see how there's no space? So basically when we add, oops, padding left 20 pixels, all of these right here have 20 pixels of space on the left. Now, to keep everything even, we want to come in here and type in padding right 20 pixels, and that'll add the same amount to the right side, keeping everything consistent and the same and even, and that's how you want to do that. And then we kept the font size at 22 pixels, and you can obviously see that you can have that as big as you want. You can't even see it at that size, but yeah, you can have it at any size you want. Basic stuff, obviously. So so we'll keep that at 22, and then we will. Oh, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for subscribing. And then at the very bottom, we do have this. We have one thing targeting A, and I could have added the color thing down here earlier, my example, but that's fine. So down here we are targeting the anchor tags, which are links, inside the TDs, inside the TR, inside the navbar. And that sounds complicating, but it's very simple. And we're making it so the text decoration equals none, so there won't be any underlines. If we remove that, then there's underlines, and we don't want those because that kind of looks weird. So we can do that. And if we came here and we did underline, it would do the same thing. We could do it here. We could do it here. We could do it in any of these spots. And one thing I do want to point out is you don't have to do each thing on its own row. You could literally have everything like this. Now, I highly do not recommend that. Keeping everything on its own line keeps it separate, keeps it organized, and I am just a very organized coder, so I just like to keep things tip-top and perfect. So let's oops, didn't mean to do that. There we go. Save this. Now what we can do is we can open up our Finder and we can come here to Pages and we can start adding new pages if we'd like. Now normally, like I said, I usually do this at the end, but I will do it just to give an example. We name this one About and Contact, and these now have links, as you can see. Now I'm going to get rid of these, and that's going to be it for today. I just wanted to go through, spend a little time, and give you an idea of how CSS works. So I hope you all enjoyed this part too. I know it's short, but I wanted to give you an idea of how CSS works and explain exactly what was going on in the last video. So I will suppose I will talk to you guys next time. I'll be streaming Crash Bandicoot later tonight, so check that out for sure. So goodbye, everybody.